everyone, welcome to the very first episode of our podcast, Beyond the White Coat.
I must have delivered over thousands of babies.
Wow.
Sometimes there are disappointments. What everybody wants is a healthy baby. We try to diagnose conditions when the baby is in the womb itself, and then we try to intervene at the right moment. So the outcomes are good for parents as well as babies.
Absolutely. Very well said, Mitali. Everybody wants a healthy baby. So I think this is beyond gynecology.
Recently, we managed a case of Rh negative pregnancy where the mother was having Rh negative blood group and baby inside the womb developed fetal anemia, and then we had to transfuse that baby when the baby was inside the womb of the mother. Then there are certain defects which can be managed by intrauterine surgeries. So few years back that was very new, but now yes, these cases are possible. So high risk pregnancy means the mother is having some issue or some kind of history, so that the pregnancy is going to need a lot of monitoring. Basically, if you're planning for a pregnancy, first optimize your health. Please quit smoking and alcohol. Obviously, panicking is not going to solve the issue, so you have to stay calm and find out the solution rather than panic and make life miserable for everyone. Healthy baby and healthy mother is what matters.
Absolutely.
Even the AI has ventured in. In the future, we are going to diagnose many more conditions and help many more parents.
You're dealing with such a complex profession. At the same time, you're a wife, you're a mother, you're a daughter. So how do you balance all of this?
Family support is very important. So I was pregnant during the peak COVID time. I used to work wearing that PPE kit and used to walk a lot and reach hospital. Delivered my baby like at the end of my fellowship. Yeah, it was difficult and I hope nobody has to face that again.
You worked through your pregnancy with COVID risk, wearing a PPE kit, delivered your child full term, and then went back to complete your fellowship when your child was 1 or 2 months old. So I feel that is extremely inspiring.
I clot diapered my child, and after that the natural progression was to switch to sustainable menstruation. So I cupverted. I started using menstrual cups, and I think it is the best decision ever.
Hi everyone, welcome to the very first episode of our podcast, Beyond the White Coat. This podcast brings you real conversations with doctors from diverse specialties, beyond the hospital walls and prescriptions. We're going to talk about impactful cases they've handled, insights into their field, their advice to the general public, and the human side of medicine. From staying calm in life-death moments to finding the motivation to keep serving their patients. This is where science meets resilience and expertise meets inspiration. Today's guest is extremely special to me, not just because she's an exceptional doctor, but she's also someone whose journey I've witnessed very closely. Through years of hard work, rare opportunities, and even rarer achievements. She's a gynecologist and a fetal medicine specialist, and whose earned positions very few get to experience. And on a very personal note, she was in the delivery room when I delivered my son. So this conversation is not just professional, it is deeply personal. So I wanted to bring her story to all of you so that you can feel inspired by her journey. So welcome Dr. Mitali Parvatikar.
Thank you for inviting me.
Let's understand the fascinating field of fetal medicine from someone who lives it every day. So Mitali, I know that you're originally a gynecologist. So what made you pursue fetal medicine?
So as you know, I was practicing gynecology and obstetrics, and I must have delivered over thousands of babies.
Wow.
But while working in the field, I realized that what everybody wants is a healthy baby, and sometimes there are disappointments, some defects were not picked up, and then the parents get disappointed, and their whole life they suffer. So I came across this field and then I developed interest in it, and that's how I decided to pursue it. And now I'm helping parents make informed choices, and we try to diagnose conditions when the baby is in the womb itself, and then we try to intervene at the right moment. So the outcomes are good for parents as well as babies, and overall their lives are sorted.
Absolutely. Very well said, Mitali. Everybody wants a healthy baby. And I think fetal medicine is now making this possible. So I think this is beyond gynecology. So gynecologists can actually, make sure that the pregnancy is healthy. But if the baby is healthy or not is something that is completely out of scope of gynecology. And I think that's where you and your team are coming in. So, Mitali, can you tell us what difficult cases can be solved by fetal medicine?
So nowadays, lot of high risk cases are coming up because, as you know, our lifestyles have changed, and there is a lot of IVFs and all those things are happening. So we come across risky cases, like there are multiple pregnancies, there are twins, there are triplets. Then there are pregnancies where the earlier child is affected by some genetic condition. Or recently we managed a case of Rh negative pregnancy where the mother was having Rh negative blood group, and baby inside the womb developed fetal anemia, and then we had to transfuse that baby when the baby was inside the womb of the mother. So there are certain defects which can be managed by intrauterine surgeries. So few years back that was very new, but now yes, these cases are possible, and that's how we work in the field of fetal medicine.
That is simply amazing. So, you're kind of saving a life which is so tiny. So, Mitali, what exactly is a high risk pregnancy?
So high risk pregnancy means the mother is having some issue or some kind of history, so that the pregnancy is going to need a lot of monitoring. So there are certain conditions. For example, if the pregnancy is not conceived naturally, if some assisted reproductive technique is used, or as I said, if the mother is Rh negative and the husband is Rh positive, then there are certain things you need to monitor. Or if there is family history of any condition, for example thalassemia, any genetic conditions, or if the mother is having hypertension or diabetes, or any illness, or if the mother is taking medication for some illness. So all these conditions, they come under the category of high risk pregnancy, so they needs monitoring, and there we step in and then we monitor the baby in those
Understood.
cases.
Got it. So, what would be your advice to women who want to avoid these kind of high risk pregnancies?
So basically, if you're planning for a pregnancy, first optimize your health. So first thing is healthy diet, exercise. Then if you're addicted to alcohol or smoking, then please quit smoking and alcohol. Then there are certain vitamins like folic acid. If you're planning for a pregnancy, you need to take those before conception. And if any doubts, please consult the specialist.
Absolutely, yeah. In case of blood group incompatibility, what are the issues that can arise and how do you fix them?
So if the mother is Rh negative and husband is Rh positive, and if the baby is Rh positive, then the mother has certain antibodies which can attack baby's blood cells.
Oh.
And then the fetus develops anemia, and in those cases we have to transfuse them when they are inside the womb, so as to save their lives. And then to stretch that pregnancy till term, and then we deliver them and try to avoid the complications of prematurity.
This is really cutting edge. So you're actually dealing with a hand that is like possibly really tiny and finding a vein, transferring the blood, and also making sure that the pregnancy is intact with all of this. That's amazing. All this sounds extremely complex. So, Mitali, how do you stay calm during such procedures?
So I'm fortunate to have learned from the best teachers whom I have seen handling complicated cases, keeping themselves calm, and I learned from them. And obviously, panicking is not going to solve the issue, so you have to stay calm and find out the solution rather than panic and make life miserable for everyone. So, yeah, that's how it is.
That's a big learning because I think all of us deal with such situations in life, whether it's an engineer who's on call and dealing with some issue, or whether it's police inspector, like a traffic police. Everybody deals with such pressing situations. So yeah, Mitali, thanks for that advice. So Mitali, what are the common misconceptions about gynecology and fetal medicine that you see commonly?
So, as I said, we use sonography to examine the fetus. So, when we advised sonography scans, so the many a times we get asked, are these sonographies harmful for the baby? So, they are not harmful. Sonography is basically it uses sound waves, so they are safe for the baby. So, sonography is not at all harmful. Secondly, many people ask us during sonography, doctor, can you tell us whether we are going to have a normal delivery or a cesarean section? So we can't tell that from a sonography. Normal delivery or C-section, the mode of delivery is decided in the end depending upon the situations. For normal delivery, you need 4-5 factors. Your baby's head should be down, your cervix, mouth of the uterus should open, baby's heartbeat should remain stable, and you should get adequate contractions. And if all these things are going on well, then only you will have a normal delivery. Otherwise, doctor takes a call of cesarean section. So in the end, whether it's a normal or a cesarean, healthy baby and healthy mother is what matters.
Absolutely. What is the future of fetal medicine?
So with every passing year, we are getting new models of phone. So same way, our ultrasound machines are also developing. We are getting new and new technologies. Even the AI has ventured in. So yeah, many complicated things are going to be simplified in the coming era. And obviously currently the pickup rate for structural defects is around 60-70%, but maybe with advanced machines it's going to increase in the future. We are going to diagnose many more conditions and help many more parents. And obviously now complex procedures are also coming in, and with the help of advancing technology, things are going to become easier in the future.
This is extremely inspiring. I think you mentioned about pickup rate. I think engineers have a lot to do here in terms of improvement. And then once it's above 90% or so, I think you have your team of doctors to help fix these issues. So, Mitali, you're dealing with such a complex profession. At the same time, you're a wife, you're a mother, you're a daughter. So, how do you balance all of this?
So family support is very important. I'm fortunate to have my parents, my in-laws to help us out, and you need to prioritize things. You need to delegate work, and yes, it's an ongoing process. You need to find midway between the work as well as other parts of life, and yes,
Yeah.
everybody juggles with it. So am I.
Mitali, as a friend, I know about your special story about how you handled your pregnancy during COVID. So can you tell us more about that?
So I was pregnant during the peak COVID time. I used to work wearing that PPE kit, and used to walk a lot and reach hospital. Delivered my baby. Like at the end of my fellowship, some part was remaining which I completed after delivering my baby, and yeah, it was difficult, and I hope nobody has to face that again.
Yeah, but you still, worked through it. And I think you showed to, yourself and to all of the women who know you, and now to all our podcast viewers, that it can be done. So, here we are, being extremely cautious during our pregnancy. Probably, there are people who stop working because they're pregnant, or if they when they have a child. And this example that you've set in front of all of us, where you worked through your pregnancy with COVID risk, wearing a PPE kit, delivered your child full term, and then went back to complete your fellowship when your child was 1 or 2 months old. So I feel that is extremely inspiring, and it's going to stay with us for a long time.
And I would like to thank my family support and the place I was working, my teachers and my colleagues who were extremely supporting during that time.
Right.
And that's why I could gather the courage and do that, I think.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, but I think it takes extreme mental tenacity. And I know that you're modest and you won't talk about it. But yeah, thanks for sharing your story. So, Mitali, as your friend, I know that you're passionate about sustainability. So, can you tell us what steps do you take in your daily life to make this possible?
So I'm still work in progress, I would say. So I clot diapered my child, and after that, the natural progression was to switch to sustainable menstruation. So I cup worded. I started using menstrual cups, and I think it is the best decision ever. Those who are using cups will vouch for it. And first of all, you are helping the environment. Then you are, using cup is very, I would say, you are rash free and sweat free and all those things. And yes, cost effective. You need not buy a packet of sanitary napkins every time. So yes, and then again, carrying your own bottle, minimizing plastics and all those things are still, I'm working on it.
Yeah, Mitali, I think this is great advice. Cloth diapers for new mothers, I think it's definitely possible to implement. And of course, menstrual cups, they may sound tedious, but I feel if we are determined to make it happen, even with our hectic daily routines, it is certainly possible. So, thank you. So, Mitali, I know that you have a son, but if you had a daughter, what would be your advice to her?
So physical activity and proper nutrition are very much needed. So we live in the era of junk food. So keeping an eye on what they are eating, like processed food, pizza, bakery products like biscuits, cakes, then too much sweets, chocolates. Occasional treats are okay, but please have a look at what they are eating, because all these things are harmful in the long run. And yes, physical exercise is very important, so please keep moving and keep your weight in control. And eat home cooked meals, though boring, they are the ones which are going to help you. And avoid too much of caffeine, avoid 1 or 2 cups of tea, coffee, fine, but not more than that. And if you're taking alcohol or smoking, then please quit that, because they are not at all going to help you in the long run.
So, Mitali, you mentioned about tea and coffee. I personally know that a lot of 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds get tea and coffee just because they ask for it. So, what would be your advice there?
Not at all advice, they don't need it. And some studies in fact have shown that it might affect ovarian function. So please be cautious about it.
As a fetal medicine specialist, what would be your advice to expecting mothers?
So basically, know certain things about yourself. As I said, know your blood group, know basic information, basic family history, history of any diseases, any genetic conditions in your family, and please do not hide this from doctors. Then secondly, good habits are very important. Take regular vitamins and stay as much as active as possible, unless it is not advised by your doctors. Then you can eat good food, tea, coffee in moderation, addiction strictly prohibited. then follow the advice given by your doctors, and you will have a healthy and safe pregnancy.
Thanks, Mithali. I think that really helps. What would be your take on protein for expectant mothers?
So yes, protein is very important. They are the building blocks of our body. So high sugar, like Indian diet is high in sugar and less in protein. So our body needs 1 milligram per kg protein. So obviously you need to balance your meals, and do not just focus on carbs. You need to have everything on your plate, and obviously avoid junk food.
Awesome. Thank you, Mithali, for sharing your inspiring journey with us today. We got to know a lot about fetal medicine, and we're definitely going to have you back with a set of more interesting questions.
Thank you for inviting me, and I am looking forward to sharing my journey with you again.
Folks, if you have any more questions for Mithali, please add in the comments below, and you can find her details in the caption. To get a specialized handbook from Mithali, comment fetal medicine in the comments and you'll get a PDF from us. Do like, share and subscribe to our channel for more such podcasts. Next week, we're going to be back with another doctor, another specialty and more inspiration.